Are there any boogers?
No.
Okay, so I've been stressed at my job. I've been trying to cope. I began researching the internet for solutions and support. I feel like my job is killing me. The stress, the crazy expectations, the long work hours. I found a book that immediately jumps out at me. Dying for a Paycheck. Yep, that's me. The book was written by Jeffrey Pfeiffer, a professor of organizational behavior at Stanford University. He published it in 2018. Pfeiffer studied the modern workplace and its effects on our health and well-being. He argued in his book that the commonalities we see at our job, such as long work hours, economic insecurity, a lack of reliable health insurance, hurt not only employees but also employers. Intrigued, I began to look at the numbers. According to Pfeiffer, work-related stress causes 120,000 excess deaths per year, making the workplace the 5th leading cause of death in the U.S. That's higher than Alzheimer's and kidney disease. Stress is linked to the 6 leading causes of death: heart disease, cancer, lung ailments, accidents, cirrhosis of the liver, and suicide. According to a study conducted by the American Psychological Association in 2011, significant sources of stress include money at 75%, work at 70%, relationships at 58%, family health problems at 53%, and personal health concerns at 53%. Did you see that? Money and work outstride family and personal health concerns by almost 25%. The American Psychological Association conducted a survey in 2017 to determine stress levels and the main sources of stress in Americans. In a multiple-choice survey, the most common source of stress was the future of our nation at 63%, followed by money at 62%, and work at 61%. Healthcare costs are high. 3/4 of all healthcare spending is for chronic disease, according to an estimate by the World Economic Forum. Chronic disease is directly linked to stress and the unhealthy behaviors we exhibit as a result of stress. And what causes stress? Well, surveys consistently show that our jobs are one of the top sources of stress in our lives. According to Pfeiffer, work-related stress totals up to $180 billion in healthcare costs. As of March of 2020, workplaces have been transported to the home. For some, this has caused increased stress and even longer working hours. Stress contributes to so many other things than just health concerns. It can make people feel angry and less satisfied with their life. This affects our social structures, our family structures, not to mention our economy as a whole. We're also less effective when we're stressed. I knew from my own experience that long work hours and the expectations to be available for work around the clock contributed to my anxiety. So I began looking into workplaces that were shortening instead of lengthening their work hours. I wanted to see how this affected their bottom line. The 5-day, 40-hour week was introduced by the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. At the time, workers were being pushed to work 6-day weeks, but now our jobs are very different. The 8-hour workday just simply isn't effective. Research shows that workers are actually only productive for 2 hours and 53 minutes during their 8-hour workday. Ideally, the human brain needs 15 minutes of rest for every hour of work. When that rest time isn't allowed, our brains wander. In Sweden, research has shown that a 6-hour workday increases productivity and reduces absentee days. Despite these facts, Americans working full-time jobs are now working more hours than anyone else in the developed world. They also see far less vacation time. European Union legislation mandates that all 28 member states must, by law, grant all employees a minimum of 4 weeks of paid vacation. Workers are entitled to 10 days paid annual leave for each complete year of service. Every employee is also entitled to 12 paid public holidays. In contrast, the federal law applying to wage payments, the Fair Labor Standards Act, does not require vacation leave at all. Americans worked 106 more hours in 2018 than Japanese workers, 248 more hours than British workers, and 423 more hours than Germans, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Not only is the 40-hour work week not working, but it's also not being followed. 40% of American workers claim to be working 50 hours or more a week. 18% are working over 60 hours a week. In the Netherlands, the work week is about 29 hours. Workers earn an average of $47,000 a year. That's exactly what American workers earn on average. In the summer of 2019, Microsoft Japan tried out the 4-day work week. They still received their 5-day paycheck. The result, the company says, was a productivity boost of 40%. Electricity costs were down 23%. Both the employees and the employers were happier. The American work week isn't working. Stress is strangling productivity. And the corporate losses resulting from diminished employee engagement, increased turnover, and reduced job performance are significant. In his book and subsequent interviews, PFEFFER argues that the workplace's toxicity is equivalent to the toxic chemicals corporations have pumped into the air. If we're getting mad about the toxicity they're leaking into our environment, shouldn't we also be mad about the toxicity they're leaking into our office? As he puts it, you are no longer permitted to burn whatever you want and throw it into the air, or dump whatever chemical you want into the water. Companies have accepted this and now parade their environmental bona fides. Meanwhile, these companies are engaging in all kinds of things that are harming the human beings who work for them. These are things they should report on, and these are things we should stop tolerating.
All right, go ahead.